welcome everyone. Just before we begin, can I just make sure that everyone has their mobile phone turned to off or to silent if you haven't already. And there's power in that beautiful song that transports us back to beautiful memories that are now frozen in time, that evokes emotion, and it captures moments connecting us to our past, reminding us of people, places, feelings, and events, allowing us to relive delightful times in our lives. And they are your memories, your stories, and your adventures that are forever stamped into your memory to bring joy and to serve as the roots that will keep you connected to a love that will never leave you. And the opening song, Ave Maria, is a heartfelt song that conveys deep gratitude and appreciation for Ellen Whitway, whose life we celebrate today. My name is Genevieve Stout, and it's an honour to join with Daryl and with Alan's family and friends, sharing moments of reflection that celebrate the love, the joy and the laughter that she brought into all of your lives. For whatever reason, not everyone could gather in the chapel today. However, with the wonders of technology, we welcome our online guests and we pass on our heartfelt condolences, and we certainly hope that we can make you feel part of today's proceedings as we share with you the love that surrounds Ellen. I had the honour of meeting Ellen a day or so before she entered palliative care, and in a profound and courageous situation, she embodied a remarkable blend of strength, grace and acceptance, with full awareness and immense bravery, with the ability to confront her mortality, and she was willing to look back on her life journey with honesty and with openness. And we can only hope that embracing the inevitable with acceptance brought her inner peace, allowing her to focus on meaningful connections in her final days. Her legacy is her strength and resilience that now serves as a powerful inspiration to others, demonstrating the beauty of living fully and authentically, even in the face of life's ultimate transition, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who knew her, and reminding us all of the profound strength of the human spirit. So with an unusual combination of tears and laughter that exists side by side, with a bittersweet mix of emotions from sorrow, hurt and heartbreak through to remembrance and a sense of enrichment, you have gathered with an opportunity to dance in the face of adversity, to celebrate Ellen's strong emotional warmth, her intelligence, but most importantly, her love. The outpouring of grief is a natural reaction to the news of terminal illness, and your presence today is testament that Ellen was deeply loved. And for many, the circumstances around her death makes finding happy thoughts hard. However, today's ceremony is a celebration of freedom for Ellen, who is plagued by the harsh rules of cancer, and it played dirty. But Ellen was determined to shape the narrative of her own life, ensuring that her story was told in her own words. And today we honour her wishes by celebrating her life as she envisaged authenticity, meaningfully, and in a way that truly reflects the person that she was. Ellen lived in a nurturing environment filled with love, and she never lacked appreciation of life's gifts to learn, to grow, to love, or to choose. She valued her individuality. She was loving, kind, hardworking, and she was generous. And although her life was cut short, she accomplished milestones beyond all expectations through her courage, her perseverance, her resilience, authenticity, inspiration, and her humble approach to the cards that she had been dealt. And each of those are achievements in their own rights and have been the hallmark of her personality that have earned her admiration from all those who knew and loved her. Ellen had appreciation for everything that she had, telling me how lucky she was to have Daryl in her life and how she loved him very much. They met online in 2008, and although it drew a few frowns from some of her siblings, Daryl passed the scrutiny test, and he has been a loving, valued family member from the moment he and Alan had been together. Alan was known to be very social. Several have had the privilege of interacting with her, forming connections that now stand poignant in the depth of Alan's friendly nature and testament to the enduring love that encircled her, and the outpouring of support that you have given by rallying around Daryl and her family has been heartwarming, and it is evidence to the strength of love and the solidarity of a connected community spirit. And for your incredible show of care and kindness, Daryl extends his deepest and most heartfelt thank you as the warmth of your presence continues to provide solace and strength during these trying times. Daryl and Alan were a formidable team. Throughout their lives together, they have built a strong foundation of love and friendship as the strongest pillar of strength in each other's support network. Since they first met, they have complemented each other as co-captains for when times were tough, co-conspirators in adventures, and allies in the trenches no matter what, always as good friends with deep respect for one another and proud of everything that they have achieved together. So as we capture the very essence of the memory-making moments that Alan fondly remembered, we have a mosaic of memorable thoughts that celebrate beautiful memories as we listen to a story, poems, photos, and memorable music that was chosen by Alan for the story that they tell. And when you leave here today, your love will be captured in your thoughts so that you can remember her as a shining star, encouraging you all to be strong when handed adversity and to make the most of life and make the most of all its sparkling opportunities. There is something symbolic in a solitary flame and the aura of light that is surrounding it, and it communicates with our souls, it enlightens, it invigorates, inspires, and it comforts. Alan's love was a gift that just kept giving. She enriched your lives, igniting a spark in the hearts of her family and her friends that will burn brightly forevermore. And lighting candles today joins hearts and hands in times of sadness, and it also gives family hope and healing. So before we turn the pages in Alan's story, we have much loved photos accompanied by music that Alan chose for your reflection, while Daryl, together with Alan's siblings, will each light a candle in honour of the precious times that they have shared, representing the joy of your memories, the love embraced, and the time that they spent together.
A secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty and the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. I've been here before. I've seen this room and I walk this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Maybe there's a God above. All I've ever learned from love was how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. Well, it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Beautiful memories that are yours to cherish. Alan, all of those candles together signify a sense of enrichment for your strong emotional warmth, your resilience, your courage, your strength, and most importantly, the precious gift of the love that you so selflessly shared. Adversity is life's obstacles that gives us an opportunity to build strength, character, and the resilience to break it down and to thrive in spite of it. The family have chosen a poem titled Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas that encapsulates the courage, the determination, and the intense emotions and resistance when faced with the end of life. So I will now share. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men, at their end, no dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright. Their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my Father, there on the sad height, curse. Bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go into the gentle and that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Life is an amalgamation of moments rather than just a solitary instance that conveys our lives are filled with an intricate web of experiences and relationships that form the fabric of our existence. And as Ellen's family and friends, you have shared the highs and the lows of some of life's biggest challenges, and the multitude of experiences are special memories that have become the treasure trove of all of the times that you have shared. And they were enhanced by how Ellen embraced her life journey. And although she faced challenging times and adversity in her life, she also experienced timeless splendour that provided personal growth and are the cornerstones to attaining a fulfilled life, leaving you all with a line of beautiful memories to remember her by. Ellen's value of love, kindness and compassion shone through in the joy that she found in her family. Ellen was the fourth child born to Aileen and Brian Whitway. The family lived in Burnie, Tasmania, and it was where Ellen spent most of the early part of her life. She had 7 brothers and sisters: Kerry, Peter, Tony, Kevin, who's actually with us online today, and we did light an extra candle for Kevin today as well. And then there was Terry, Claire and Michelle. With 12 years from eldest to youngest, Ellen somehow became the middle child, and there were many conflicting views about the wrong and the right within the family of that situation. Ellen finished her education at the Catholic school in Burnie, and she began her career in banking at the SBT, which is the State Bank of Tasmania. And that is where she worked for the next 10 years. During that time, she joined the Army Reserves, and at just 19, while many of her peers were still learning to drive a manual car, she had already earned her heavy truck licence. She served in the Army Reserves for a decade and then decided to take the plunge. She left her job and she packed her belongings into her Nissan Pulsar, crossing Bass Strait to make a new life for herself. On arrival, she lived with her brother Peter, and she worked at the Bank of Melbourne, which was later part of Westpac, where she climbed the ranks through her rewarding career, working for a mortgage broker, a property valuer, and retiring at the onset of illness as a loans manager for ME Bank. After living with Peter, she lived in a unit in Brunswick, and then she bought a unit in West Brunswick before buying a house in Taylor's Hill. She met the love of her life, Daryl. Meeting online, their friendship turned to romance, dating for 12 months before deciding to move in with each other. So Ellen moved from Taylor's Hill, where she and Daryl bought their forever home together in Wyndham Vale. That has been their patch of paradise, the venue for their wedding, and it's a place where so many wonderful memories have been created, including their Christmas tradition that started soon after they moved into their home as a brunch the Sunday before Christmas, and over the years has turned into an all-day affair with everyone from all of their social groups were welcome. Daryl and Ellen shared a loving, caring and a deeply affectionate relationship that radiated warmth and tenderness with unconditional support for each other. Their love has been a constant source of strength, and they faced their challenges secure in the knowledge that together they were up to the challenges that Ellen's health had presented. Their relationship has been characterised by empathy, kindness and a profound sense of mutual understanding, making them an inspiring example of enduring love. In an extraordinary act of selflessness and love that serves as an inspiration to others, showing the power of human generosity and connection, at just 32 years of age, Ellen donated a kidney to her dad in 1997, who had suffered bad health for many years. It was literally a gift of life, offering him an opportunity to extend his life. Living for a further 8 years, he was able to come to Ellen's 40th birthday party, but sadly he died only weeks after in 2005. For her selfless act, she won the nomination as a baton bearer in Melton for the 2006 Commonwealth Games. Ellen was not afraid to live life. She embraced life fearlessly, and she didn't mind the odd adrenaline rush with 2 sky jumps under her belt, one at Auckland and another while she was on holiday in Vegas, where she did a 350-metre jump off the Stratosphere Tower. She travelled extensively during her time with the Army Reserves. Beyond her service, she explored numerous countries with family, including Europe, Thailand, Hong Kong, Vietnam, New Zealand, Myanmar and America. She and Darryl did a cruise to Alaska, and he introduced her to camping. His preferred accommodation was a tent, which Ellen was initially very unsure about. However, the thrill of adventure soon won her over, and eventually they upgraded to an outback caravan, keeping the tent for remote locations that was inaccessible by the caravan. More recently, their travels have taken them to the Simpson Desert, Cape York, Vietnam again, Darwin and outback South Australia. Ellen was grateful for this life, and it wasn't always easy, and there were challenges along the way. But Ellen lived with love, she lived with laughter, and she lived with purpose. She played social tennis for years, enjoyed knitting, and she became a good cook despite some of those early setbacks. She was blessed and forever thankful for having incredible people, family, friends, and even strangers who have helped shape her journey. Her life was not about the grand moments or big achievements, which there were many, I might add. It was the simple things of laughter, warm hugs, conversations, and the feelings of being truly supported are the moments that she cherished. Her family was her greatest treasure, and now her legacy lies in your memories and in the love that you have all shared. Her friends brought light into her life in ways that are difficult to express, and their friendship meant the world to her. And as she says goodbye, she was able to fit in a lifetime of significant achievements. But life is fleeting, and Ellen has left her mark. She made a difference, and she will definitely be remembered with a huge smile. Ellen's siblings were like super glue. They stuck with her through thick and thin, whether they were right next door or whether they were miles apart. They were there to give Ellen a shoulder to lean on, and when life got tough, and they were certainly not afraid to dish out some tough love when she needed it. So I'm now going to welcome Claire on behalf of her siblings to share a heartfelt tribute to their much-loved sister Ellen. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Ellen was born the 4th of 8 children. Despite 8 being a round number with no true middle, Nell managed to carve out the role of middle child. The first 3 siblings, Kerry, Peter and Tony, were only about 12 to 18 months apart. So when Nell came along about 2 years after Tony, it seemed that age gap was just too much to allow for her to be included in all of their much mature capers. She was left out, the annoying little sister who made everything hard and who was a crybaby. She cramped their style. Thankfully, we had a family friend, our other brother, Rob, who took pity on her, looked after her and usually took her home because her actual siblings wouldn't. She was then followed by 4 younger siblings, but alas, she did not fit into the little kids group either. Mostly because we were just so much more adorable. She obviously felt left out and spent many years trying to get the attention that she craved. She whined, moaned, argued, challenged, was loud, stubborn and generally annoying. This obviously did not have the desired effect and just made all of us actually exclude or annoy her more. She had friends, but my memory suggests that some of them were, let's say, interesting, and she brought some boyfriends around that even I, as a little sister, wondered about. Mum referred to them as lame dogs. Michelle and I did a fairly good job of not only trying but succeeding in embarrassing her in front of them. She became a great cook and was often requested to bring particular dishes to different gatherings. Fortunately, she persisted in her cooking because her initial experiments were not received well by our family. We have all individually recollected a particularly non-delicious stew. She obviously thought she'd zhuzh up a bit, but unfortunately no one appreciated beef stew with dried fruit, including the dried orange peel. Dad made us eat it, but it did not go unnoticed that he did not. She was a bit over the top and had an unfortunately loud, high-pitched scream and laugh when she was in attention-seeking mode. This once resulted in the entire family moving away from her in embarrassment as she was barracking for our brother Terry's soccer team one day. It culminated in Terry actually asking her to leave the game. He was so mortified. She didn't have much insight, old Nellie. Our sister-in-law Nicole recalls how she was anticipating meeting this Nell as she had heard about that she was the loud one. She said she had not been disappointed. She agreed she was loud but also happy and fun, all in one. I remember fondly one particularly spectacular and noisy event when Nellie demonstrated not only her ability to scream, but also an unexpected bout of athleticism when she had a rather large huntsman spider launch at her head whilst entering our bedroom. I'm not sure what the spider was thinking, but the memory still brings me great joy. She had many names. Her name morphed in childhood, as they do, from Ellen, Nell, Nellie, Nelliefant, Tunt, Tununununut, 1,000 nunts, Eggendorf to poor Nell. She answered to all of them, depending on her mood. Nell was actually a lovely, fun and generous person. She just annoyed us with her habits. A few of us managed to live with her at different times, but it's still a mystery to me as to why or how that happened. Nell and Meg were particularly unsuited. However, they shared a flat for some time in Upper Burnie. Kerry was reminiscing recently about an incident after Nell had broken her ankle and was still recovering and required crutches. She had made herself a cuppa, and rather than ask her sister to carry it for her to the lounge room, she said not a word, but got down on her hands and knees and moved her cup incrementally across the floor, crawled after it and moved it again until she reached her chair. After which she looked up and saw that Kerry had been observing this progress across the room and simply snarled, "What?" It had not occurred to her that Kerry may actually have helped. Just quietly, I'm not convinced. Meg would have, but her version is that she would have if only she'd asked. I lived with Nell a few times in adulthood in the early to mid-90s. I was very appreciative and she was, as usual, more than happy to share her homes with me. She really was a generous and warm person. She just did not share the same housekeeping standards. This eventually drove me so mad that I ended up calling Pete and ran away to live with him rather than commit a homicide. She wasn't only annoying, of course. Despite being a young woman, Nell selflessly gave one of her kidneys to our dad, an act that changed his quality of life and significantly extended it. This had a tremendous effect on our entire family, and we loved her for it. She was written about in the paper and became a torchbearer for the Commonwealth Games as a consequence. Nell was also a consistent visitor and support to our brother Kevin when his little son Benjamin was undergoing treatment at the kids' hospital. She spent a lot of time with them at Ronald McDonald House, playing with and loving her nephew. His loss was keenly felt by her. Her annoyingness changed significantly when she met Daryl. She and Daryl were clearly meant to be, and the change in her was almost instantaneous. However, we really couldn't see this clearly because we were now also annoyed at this Daryl bloke. We didn't know him, but boy did we hear about him. Daryl this and Daryl that. Nothing could be done, shared, asked or experienced without Daryl being dragged into it. Daryl wasn't actually there, just his name, views, experiences, etc. This culminated in Nell being banned from ever mentioning his name again on one particular trip, which was supposed to be a girls' trip, but became a girls' and Spirit of Daryl trip. Anyway, we of course came to know and love Dazzler. Pete was living with Nell when she and Daryl met. Pete was the one who formalised their relationship when he, and not Nell, handed Daryl his own key to the house. He had obviously passed the Big Brother test. Nell became a happy, content, engaging and dynamic person after they met. She had found the missing link and she became whole. There was no more need to seek what she needed with annoyance. She was accepted, loved and treasured by Daryl. And we could not be more thankful that they found each other. She deserved to be loved for who she was and could be. She was also given the opportunity to be part of a new family who would love and accept her as she had transitioned into the woman she became. Sorry. For most of the past nearly 2 decades, my observation of Nellie was that she had a robust social life, always off doing something with Daryl and any number of different friendship groups. Who knew Nell liked camping? Not I. Yet there was the four-wheel driving, camping at watering holes, caravanning, exploration and trekking, travels within Australia and overseas, and unexpectedly, jet skiing. This was evidenced by Facebook posts and the annual Christmas brunch, which would bring all of these groups and family together as folk popped in and out of the brunch all day long. She had an amazingly rich and full life with her off-sider, soulmate, companion, lover, friend, husband, champion, Daryl. Her poor prognosis prior to Christmas didn't stop her from organising the brunch, and she still handmade those little quiches. The show must go on. She unfortunately didn't get to celebrate her own 60th birthday party as she had been carted off to hospital, but we all did. She wanted to have those celebrations and say farewell to everyone, and she did that in style. She told me how very appreciative and pleased she was to have seen most of her nephews at the brunch. Although one niece and one nephew were missing, she was so happy to be surrounded by this bunch of strapping young lads. She had spent some lovely times with the Townsville Whitwams, and this increased when she and Daryl started trekking northwards. They all enjoyed those visits, and she will be missed. Throughout her entire treatment process, her number one driver was making sure her beloved Daryl would be okay. She never said she was worried about herself, only Daryl. She was incredibly stoic to the end. Even when Genevieve, the celebrant, met with her and asked what she would like to say or have the service focus on, Nell did not speak of herself, but of her thankfulness to Daryl and of all of her friendship groups, the love and support she valued and appreciated. We had to drag the rest of her story out of her after that. Daryl became amazing. Whenever we asked how she was, she would just tell us how amazing Daryl was. So now poor Daryl has to live up to being the amazing Daryl forevermore. She cherished Daryl, and he in turn cherished and still cherishes her. We thank Daryl for the gift of seeing our sister happy, of the opportunity she had to love and be loved. I wanted to end with this. Our family are not particularly demonstrative or emotive, except right now, and can be fairly sarcastic, droll and irreverent with a decidedly black humour. Nell understood that and practiced the same when with us. For those who are unaware, we were born and raised Catholic, but none of us practice. This is not to say that we do not have a belief in something, but just not the institution. On her last evening with us, it appeared that Nell could still hear us, and by the occasional facial expressions she used, we could tell that she was enjoying some of the commentary. Despite not wanting a religious service today, the opportunity for a Catholic priest to give Nell the anointing of the sick was offered. Meg, Daryl and I discussed the merits or otherwise of this for a while with the priest, who was lovely and extremely tolerant, and understood some of our reservations, including that Nell might get up and throttle one of us, or indeed him. The eyebrow was going up in the bed. After some time, we collectively agreed to give Nell every opportunity to just let go and hopefully go up and not down by proceeding with the very solemn and moving process, albeit Daryl was timing it, as the priest had foolishly told him how many seconds it would take, and apparently it didn't. In my career, I've stood at many bedsides and witnessed many beautiful, sad, devastating, spiritual, uplifting and profound things. But never have I tearily participated in a religious rite where the priest ends with a soft yet sincere statement of, "Ellen, thank you for not getting up and punching me in the head." To end, I wanted to read something that Michelle found and that we believe Nell would have spoken to her amazing Daryl if she could. It's a poem. It's called Miss Me But Let Me Go by Christina Rossetti. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not for long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that once we shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all a part of the master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know. Laugh at all the things we used to do. Miss me, but let me go. Thanks.
Beautiful. What a beautiful story. And everyone should have a sibling like Alan. She put so much fun into your family. Alan cherished the joys of her friendships provided. Her life was a tapestry of diversity with a myriad of interests that forged connections with various circles of friends, sharing the highs and the lows of some of life's biggest challenges. Her friends were steadfast pillars of support, providing laughter, comfort and companionship, celebrating the best of the best, a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, or just that welcome distraction from the day-to-day routine. And that's testament to the enduring strength of these connections. So I have a tribute to read from good friends Richard and Tanya Smith that encapsulates the friendship and the camaraderie that Alan shared. And this will be followed by a tribute that we have from Peter as well. It does not feel that tomorrow we will be bidding you farewell until we meet again. You had the most infectious laugh, a beautiful smile and a kind heart. You did not tolerate fools lightly and told it as it was. We still miss our chats, meals out, trips away, glasses of whatever is going, and the laughs. You were such a strong woman, fought the fight and never once complained. We will miss you saying how things are, and the best that you've ever had in your life was now, and the stories, the places that you have visited. Farewell, our beautiful friend. Your smile will now light up a star in the sky. We will support Daryl in any way that we can. Until we meet again, adios. So a beautiful tribute. And Peter would like to share some beautiful memories of his friendship with Alan. Thank you.
Good afternoon, people. As you're aware, my name is Peter, and me and my wife met Alan and Daryl at the Werribee District's Four-Wheel Drive Club, where they're both life members and office bearers and put a heck of a lot into life. This is pretty hard to follow on from what's... Sorry, your name? Karen? Claire. It's Claire's speech. But last night when I was sitting down looking at YouTube and I was pondering what I should say, I got this random phone call from three wise men who will remain nameless, least to say. One had a very bad Northern Irish accent, I think, and they requested I do a dress rehearsal on this speech over the phone. And I told these three wise men that wouldn't be happening. I got questioned further. Had Donna proofread my speech? I said no. Google has proofread her. They then asked if they should have a person doing sign language, as some may not understand my Kiwi accent. A bit more banter went on, and I won't go into too much detail because it got a bit grubby, as it normally does with these three wise men. But this was the type of banter that Alan quite enjoyed through our friendship of the group of people we had. Alan enjoyed the outdoors. I only knew her from when we were in the four-wheel drive club, camping, doing trips, going away, going to wineries and different places and that. But a few of the more interesting moments we had with Alan was Cup weekend 2018, the club had arranged a trip to Tasmania. And so since Alan was from Tasmania, she planned the itinerary. And she was very proud of Tasmania and where she'd come from. Her first night after we'd got off the boat was at Arthur River, and she was very proud to show us the house her father had built, and where there was many family holiday, and we had a fantastic time. We went down the beach. I don't know what the beach was, but we had a great time, and we ended up at the most famous track down there, Balfour Track. And that was a pretty challenging track. I don't know how many people have done it, but it was pretty exciting. Us people in four-wheel drives, we like to know how far our four-wheel drives can go and try each other out. And we got to a very boggy swamp, and the lead vehicle got stuck. And of course, Darryl came to the rescue. He was right behind it, and he pulled this car out. But Darryl wasn't content in going through that part of the track. He went off to the right, I think, and it was very boggy and very deep. And as Darryl drove that Everest as he stole it, in no time that white Everest was black. We couldn't see it from top to bottom. It was absolutely covered in mud, and all we could see was Alan sitting there smiling at us as the windscreen wipers went backwards and forwards, clearing the windscreen. And then the rest of us had to extract Darryl from this bog, which took quite a while, and I'm not too sure whether we winched out or we pulled him out, but he wasn't getting out of his car. Alan wasn't getting out of the car, and he tied his winch rope onto this little tree. It was about the size of my arm, and gradually got out. But Ellen said afterwards, with a big smile on her face, that she felt happy, safe, and she was quite dry, and she had full confidence in everybody around her. And that was Ellen. That when there was a bad moment, she turned that bad moment into a positive moment. On another trip in 2018-19, we're at Avoca, and Alan became my passenger as Darryl had returned back to Wyndham Vale to pick up his CPAC machine and hadn't returned after forgetting it. But I'll let Darryl tell that story because that was quite a tale on its own. Anyway, we're on this quite rocky track and it was quite challenging, and I couldn't quite get over the last obstacle. And we're on two wheels and the car was a very steep angle, and Alan was sitting there, and I felt, are we safe, are we not? Just about having a brown pants moment. And I said to Ellen, are you okay? And her reply was, yes, all good, Pete. I have full confidence in your driving. And that was again what Ellen was about. We got back to camp and she told my wife, Donna, about it. And my wife says, thank God I wasn't there. I hate those tracks. And so as we've done lots of trips away, we went to Queensland, and we were at a cafe one morning, and I think the attraction was that wasn't much of a day. We're actually in a place called Rubyvale, and it was a bit wet and cold, and we're having coffee and strudel. The next thing, this fella came along, and I'm not too sure what bird it was, a very colourful parrot, flew around, landed on everybody's shoulder, and when it landed on Alan's, the delightful smile that she gave everybody, but her smile got bigger because that wasn't all. The fella says, we need anybody like a hot port. And of course, a tray of hot ports come out, and all these ladies here, that were on the trip, they were sitting there having a hot port at 11 o'clock in the morning. So that was something that Ellen really enjoyed. On our trip last year, this time to Vietnam, with Ellen and Darryl, and Renee and Shane, and we knew that Ellen was sick, but she wanted to go back to Vietnam, and it was quite a trip for her. And I made it a little bit more awkward. On arrival in Ho Chi Minh, I'd stuffed up my e-visa and got the wrong date on it, and I was detained and spent a little bit of anxious moments working out how I was going to get into Vietnam. And after engaging an immigration agent and parting with 4 million dong, which I had no idea how I was going to get it because my wife had the credit card and my wallet, and I only had one bank card. But after a couple of hours, I managed to get into Vietnam, much to the joy of the rest of the crew, who were standing in the entrance lounge, which was non-air conditioned. It was about 10 o'clock at night, steaming hot, with literally thousands and thousands of people getting harassed by taxi drivers asking, can we take you somewhere? Where are you going? So once I got through and we got on the bus, and Alan turned around to me and says, you had an interesting time, didn't you, Peter? And I was getting plenty of grief from, I won't name the rest of the group. They were all getting a bit hungry and grumpy and tired. The food on the Jetstar flight wasn't that good and they hadn't slept that well, so it was quite an adventure. And The next day, on Ellen's recommendation, we went down to a local travel agent and we got a whole heap of trips and flights booked, and it was really just the most simple thing that Ellen had said and made that trip special for us, that we were able to go, get on a flight, go somewhere, do a tour and all these things. And one such trip was, I think it was from Da Nang. We went to a place called Paradise Caves, and it was about a 5-hour bus trip, and any of you who have travelled in Vietnam would know the roads aren't like they are in Australia. They're pretty average, to say the least. The buses aren't very big, and they don't go very fast, and the traffic make up their own rules as they go along there. After we got to the caves, we had a fairly steep climb up to the entrance, and then there was about 40 steps down into the floor of the cave, and the cave was absolutely ginormous. It was 100 metres long, 60 metres wide, and it had the biggest stalagmites and stalactites we'd ever seen. And Ellen was just so overwhelmed with that number one, she'd managed to get into the cave and enjoy the joy of nature there, and it was absolutely fantastic. But our joy didn't last long. On the way home in the bus blew one of its rear dual tyres. And it was a public holiday, and the bus had stopped at a little tyre shop on the side of the road. And this big, long, tall Vietnamese boy came out to start changing his tyre and got told to stop. His father came out and said, "It's a public holiday, you don't work on a public holiday, we're not changing your tyre." We drove down this road, and it was a single road lane either way. It was just on dusk, and again, I was horrified to look what cars were coming, because all you could see was a headlight coming towards you, and next thing it would duck in, and it just went on for about 40 kilometres. The bus drove home about 40 k's an hour, and a 3-hour journey took about 7 to 8 hours. We arrived back at our hotel about midnight, hadn't had very much to eat at all, because we'd stopped at a store that I'm not too sure what it sold. It was dry biscuits and a bit of water that was barely drinkable. But again, Ellen says, what a remarkable experience we've had today. Again, she did it with a smile on her face. So we actually had a wonderful 2 weeks in Vietnam, brought back old memories. Ellen had been there previously and was made the trip quite memorable, even under her ailing health conditions, that she really didn't miss out on anything other than going to bed early a few nights. She participated in all the activities we did. And Ellen wasn't a jealous person, from my knowledge, but she got a little bit of envy, as she'd done a bit of driving trucks and that, and I, in my semi-retirement, do a little bit of farm work, and I managed to drive a road train on a farm and post it on Facebook. And Ellen's little comment was back, "Just a little bit envious, Peter, of you." I think that was one of her things that she would have liked to have done in life and never achieved. Ellen was a strong, positive person, always greeted you with a warm smile, and even when she was sick in the last 12 months, we would see quite a lot of Ellen and would go around there and you'd ask, "How are you, Ellen?" And her reply, "Living the dream." Well, Ellen's dream has come to an end, and that is very unfortunate. Maybe a new dream is happening for Ellen. So I've got a poem that I felt that would fit what Ellen would be about. I like to leave on an echo, whispering softly down the ways of happy times and bright sunny days. I like tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories that I leave when life is done. So I'd like to conclude. Farewell, Ellen. I enjoyed your company, your bright smile, your directness, your very positive attitude to life. I feel I'm a better person for knowing Ellen. Rest in peace. Love, Peter and Donna Verco.
Thank you, Peter. You had such strength of character. Lovely. Love has the ability to forge connections that are unbreakable, to create a legacy that persists long after our mortal journeys have ended. And in the tapestry of existence, love is the thread that binds us together, and it's testament to the enduring nature of the human spirit. Alan and Daryl have built a lifetime of memories in the time that they've been together, walking hand in hand as a team, building a foundation of friendship, love and trust. And Daryl feels lucky to have had Alan's love. And although there are no words sufficient enough, perfect enough or honest enough to describe his feelings, Daryl has a special tribute to Alan that he would like to share with you all. Thank you.
Not off to a good start, am I? When Alan and I first met, as you all know, we met online. There was no social media as there is today, so we emailed each other backwards and forwards a few times, and then Alan gave me her phone number and I was going to ring her tomorrow night. So I sat down, made sure I'd been to the toilet so I didn't get interrupted. I had my little cheat sheet of notes to read, so there was no stall in the conversation, keep it all flowing. I was all prepared. Chatted to a couple of people about how do you talk to Sheilas, you know. Rang her, and she didn't answer the bloody phone. Nothing. And I thought, well, so much for that. Then she rang me the next day at work, and I didn't have my cheat sheet, and I wasn't prepared, but somehow I must have bluffed through it because we chatted for a while, and then we went out. Now, we went out for 4 weeks before I even got my first kiss, so she made me wait. But from then on, everything just seemed to feel right. Within the next 12 months, we'd been to Thailand and Hong Kong. We'd been camping. As I said, I took her out in a tent. She was adamant she was going to hate it, didn't want to go, but went, and so she told me later. She said, I was just going to go, and then I could say, we've done it, I hate it, I'm never doing it again. And her exact words were, the bastard made me like it. So we were camping in a tent for a while. We then bought our house. People would say, wow, you're moving fast. Maybe we were, but we just knew it was right. When we bought a house, Alan emailed me the documents to sign, and I got one page, and it had on the bottom page 12 of 14. It was the signature page for a mortgage. So I asked, shouldn't I see the other 13 pages? And Alan simply said, yeah, probably, but she never sent them. So I figured, well, here we go. So I signed it all, sent it back off to her, and never ever had a trust issue ever from then on. We moved in our new home, and apparently I was quite difficult to live with for the first few months, according to Alan. I'm not sure I remember it that way, but we then built a shed, and I'm not sure how she okayed spending 15 grand on a shed when she wasn't happy, but apparently after the shed went up, the old Daryl came back and everything was good. But that was typical Alan, just whatever, nothing was a problem with her, just about anything I wanted was always fine. So we lived a wonderful life, travelled over Australia and beyond, went overseas. In the first 10 years we somehow managed to buy 4 brand new cars, even though 3 of them were mine. Alan never complained, she just smiled and everything was fine. 2020 we got married. Our world was perfect, as we said. People often referred to us as Switzerland because we never took sides. We remained neutral and friends with everyone, but to be honest, that was more Alan's doing than mine. In all the time together, we never had a single fight. The closest we came was the caravan. So I'd reverse the caravan up to the car. Alan would be standing there, say, come back, left, right, yep, stop. So I'd stop, I'd get out the car, and as I was walking back, she'd say, oh, it's about that far off the tow ball, is that okay? I said, no, it's not. Anyway, then we bought a new car, and that car had a reversing camera. Wow. And the salesman pointed out to us and he said to me, this is what we call the marriage saver. And it really is, because we didn't need help anymore to back the caravan up. So when we come home, we had the routine. Alan would go in, unlock the house, open the gates, I'd back the car up and she'd be on the mobile phone, left, right, yada, yada, yada. So I was backing in one day and Alan saying, you're right, keep coming. And then there was a thump and the car stopped. I said, what the hell was that? She said, oh, you hit the house. I said, how did I hit the house? And she said, oh, I wasn't watching that side. So that was just typical of putting the caravan away. Half the time I'd sit there and I'd think, where are you? And she'd come out and I'd say, what's going on? She'd say, I had to go to the toilet and I saw some washing on the floor. And so I'm in the street waiting in the caravan and she's doing washing. And just over 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer. And for the 2 years, she fought, doing everything the doctors told her she had to do. All the while, she would just say, I don't feel sick. I'm only doing this because they tell me I have to. She never once complained, not about the chemo, not about the endless treatments. Even as her health declined, she never ever said, why me, or life isn't fair. If you asked her how she was going, she'd just simply smile and say, living the dream. Even as her world was turning upside down, she was more worried about me than herself. I remember my boss telling me one day she'd come in for chemo and he was talking to her and he asked her how she was going and how she was coping. And she said to Ange, it's not about me, it's about Daryl, which was Alan. Since Alan's passing, I've heard so many people say how she always was singing my praises, always telling everybody how wonderful I was. Alan, I truly hope I was as good to you as you told everybody I was. I love you and I always miss you. And wherever you are, I hope you're living the dream.
Thank you, Daryl, and such a beautiful life that you've shared together, despite those caravan backings. We all identify with that if we've got a caravan, I can tell you. Alan's mosaic of affection was effortlessly woven into your lives, and it was evident through her laughter, her smile, and the quiet moments of togetherness that are all precious memories. In contemplating the boundless generosity that she embodied, the kindness that she radiated, and the hours of shared connection you were all privileged to partake in, we have photographs that hold a piece of her spirit. Accompanied by music, I invite you all to immerse yourselves in captured memories of special snapshots that bring to life times that hold significance in Alan's journey and serve as a source of inspiration. And as we remember her, we acknowledge the depth of her kindness and the warmth that she brought to those around her through all of her love and through all of her loveliness.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, Lord, I can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, the wind beneath my wings. Fly, fly, fly away. You let me fly so high. Fly, fly so high against the sky. So high I almost touch the sky. Thank you, thank you, thank God for you, the wind beneath my wings.
Again, such beautiful memories that are yours to cherish, and a really lovely song to go with it that encapsulates your friendship and the life that Alan has led. So certainly beautiful. Sadly, Alan's life was cut short by a heart-wrenching reality that none of you could have foreseen. And devastated by our loss, you are left grappling with grief. And despite the pain that surrounds you, it's important to remember that the moments of laughter and the joy that Ellen shared with her family, the lessons she imparted, and the love that she bestowed upon all those that she has come in contact with. While her physical presence may be gone, her legacy allows you to revel in her courage and by carrying forward the lessons that her resilience taught. And she would all want you to find comfort in the knowledge that her strength will be a guide in the darkest of times. Alan's loss may have shattered the hopes and the dreams that she worked so hard toward, but what it cannot do is suppress your loving memories. It cannot cripple love, or it cannot silence courage, because Alan has conquered so much more. And she's left this earth with a strong legacy that exemplifies strength and fortitude. The immense sorrow that you feel, ironically, is a beautiful part of the love that you all have for Alan. So give purpose to your feelings with the challenges that you all face. And although your grief journey has far to go, with adversity comes courage, and tough times encourage you to look for new solutions, to learn skills, and to develop a new mindset, giving you an opportunity to look at life with love and to look at life with fresh eyes. And as you create your own roadmaps of survival, family and friends help to absorb your emotions by providing the weapon to navigate that hard road ahead. And what was initially a simple line from a children's fiction that reads, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and love more than you know," are famous words from Winnie the Pooh that have become an encouragement quote that inspires many. So on behalf of Daryl, thank you all for sharing a loving tribute to Alan. And it's nearly time for us to farewell all of those that are watching over the internet. We thank you for your virtual company, and I ask you all to love and support each other and keep those close to Alan in your thoughts over the coming weeks, helping them to find direction and the strength to overcome the sadness at the loss that they have endured. Alan, there are many who love you dearly, and the memories that you've made now lies in each of those that you have touched. Their love for you can only be strengthened by the gift of time, for where roots are buried deeply, memories grow forever. Thank you for being the jewel in the lives of those who love you, and you leave this life with friendship, and you leave this life with love. In the face of brokenness, gratitude has the power to heal, to bring hope, and to energise. So if you close your eyes for a moment, we can be united by sharing together a special blessing in gratitude to Alan for all that she has given. May the legacy of your life, Alan, shine as a radiant beacon of love and generosity, illuminating the paths of all those who were fortunate to know you. May your selflessness be a reminder that even in the face of life's challenges, the power of giving knows no bounds. And may your spirit continue to inspire us, to extend a helping hand, to share without reservation, and to embody the profound impact that one soul can have on the world through love and through friendship. We now lovingly release Alan into the warmth of your memories, and we commit her to the embrace of nature and into an eternal circle of existence. And your time with Alan today has been precious. So can I ask you all to please stand for our final music tribute and to conclude our chapel service for Alan. As the family leave the chapel, I ask you all to follow the family outside, and Daryl invites you all to share more loving stories of Alan at their home in Hindmarsh Drive. Thank you.
soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. When I am on your shoulders, you raise me up